Hi, I'm Erica Farber, President and CEO of the Radio Advertising Bureau, and welcome to RAB at Work, the Q Report. We decided to focus this quarter's video on radio creative. Specifically, we wanted to help radio sellers and creative and production teams gain some insight into best practice tips for producing engaging and effective radio commercials. So whether you're pitching radio to a client who may not have had great success with their radio creative, or if you are the one coming up with the copy, sound effects, and sometimes even the voiceover, we thought it would be beneficial to learn what some of the best creative minds out there do, and also hear some of the latest research developed to help you create radio creative that helps advertisers reach their goals while engaging listeners. Have a look.
I've said it a bunch of times, I'll say it again. To me is surprise. Do something that hasn't been done. And that doesn't mean you have to think of some wacky, crazy technique. With every decision, don't go for the expected. So if you have to make a reference you've never heard before. Don't go for the first one that pops in your mind. I know that sounds like boilerplate, but it really does pay off.
I think people think of radio commercials as ads. And I think the way to think about it is as content. For example, we watch TV shows, we read books, we go to movies. You should think of it with the same creative criteria as that. Is it engaging? Is it entertaining? Do I remember it? Do I want to tell my friends about it? It's not just making an ad and throwing out information about 2 sandwiches for $4. It's about telling them that information, but in a way that they're going to remember it and really enjoy hearing it.
One of the things about radio, a lot of other mediums have a visual component. So even if your copy is not as good and your delivery are not as good, sometimes the visual can save you. Radio doesn't have that, so you're relying only on one thing, painting that mental picture. And if you are trying to get too many message points across, you tend to confuse people and not paint that picture.
It's so pure. It's so much about the idea, but also the craft. So it feels like when a TV piece is made, there are 20 million bodies, a ton of money, and a lot of production elements that can be very forgiving of an idea that might be a little bit weaker. But radio, you kind of really have to stand up and be on point because you don't have all of that covering up for what it's meant to be.
I think the best radio spots, radio campaigns that exist feel like TV. They feel like they're using more than just people's voices in a sound room. I think as a crutch, when we sit down to write radio spots, we tend to just write our way through it, so we can write our way through it. And the best radio spots feel like there's a deeper concept in there, and it's more than just writing. It's original thinking.
And usually radio is something that is part of, a bigger idea. And so often by the time we get to writing the radio, we already have an idea in place for a campaign. I think radio is a good test to see if you really do have a campaign idea. Sometimes you can come up with some wacky TV spots or, cute pre-rolls or whatever, or some visual solution for print, but radio seems like a good test to know whether you really have an idea, because you just sort of, you really have to have a narrative and a story that is simple and connects well to your product.
I think that if you're honest with something, even honesty in humor, or honesty and an insight, or honesty in being sympathetic to an issue, I think the best work always comes out of truth. And if you can take a truth and make it funny, or make it emotional, or make it serious and use the medium in a different way you've never seen before, it's still one of the most powerful ways to get a message across.
So we took about 50 ads from the Super Bowl on Westwood One, and then we took about another 50 ads from our NCAA March Madness broadcast. And we had Nielsen get about 6,000 consumers and rate the ads. Each consumer heard about 5 ads, and they would rate the ads on likability, relevance, memorability, a number of different attributes. And the idea was to do the largest creative ad testing in radio in recent history. So as you can imagine, you get 6,000 people and 100 ads. It's a lot of data. And there were a couple of very exciting kind of key takeaways or key findings. One was Americans love radio ads. The ads tested very well. These were across a whole series of categories. And branding really works on radio. So to the person that says you can't build a brand with audio, this study proves otherwise. And the other, I think the big other takeaway was women like female voices. And I think we just put snarling guys in all of our ads just without thinking. And I think this says if your target is a woman, you should have the female voiceover talent.
Well, what was really cool about this test was there was a chance to test some of those old myths. You know, as Pierre said, oh, you can't brand in radio. And really? Why is that? Why should that possibly be? It's just something people say. So having had the opportunity to look at almost 100 ads and test that was just fantastic. If you pulled out the top 10 ads, they did incredibly well. They tended to do about a third, maybe even 40% better on those key metrics than the average ad. So there's a lot of opportunity in radio for creative to make a difference. That's the only difference. The top 10 ads versus the average ads, they were just better from a creative perspective, and the performance you get 30 to 40% better. So if you think about it, you can invest more in media, which I know everyone in the industry would like to see happen, or you can invest, instead of investing the dollars in media, invest the smarts and the research and the creativity into making the ads more effective, and that's the most fantastic return on investment you'll ever see.
Earlier this month, we held the 25th Annual Radio Mercury Awards, where we celebrated the best radio creative of the last year. We heard many of the best practices come to life in the form of highly engaging and effective radio commercials and campaigns. So for inspiration, be sure to check out the Radio Mercury website at www.radiomercuryawards.com, where you can listen to all of the best of show winning spots from previous years and this year's winners as well. Also check out RAB.com, where you'll find helpful resources under the creative section. Here's to more inspiration and great creative for the coming year. Until next time, happy selling and happy creating.